Hey everybody, in this video, this video is not going to be that long, but yeah, I'm just going to be going through some interesting stuff, and yeah, let's get started. So if you guys haven't watched the previous video, I've covered a lot of stuff that needs to be covered in this video, so I'm going to be going over these stuff, okay? So you have a firewall and a proxy, okay? A proxy is basically like, let's say for example, a forward proxy is basically the one that's going from your client. So the client to server, there's one in the middle that sort of intercepts your requests. Not intercept, but it captures your requests in a way that it understands if you should be going towards this or if it's not a good spot. For example, like let's say proxy, right? Reverse proxy means it's between, let's say this is you, right? And then this is the proxy, okay? And then this is the server. Okay, so let's say server, I'll just draw it in a different way. So let's say a computer, right? Like that. So this is the server, okay? Actually, I'll draw it as like a big tank, okay? So this proxy, right? This proxy makes sure that this server is actually supposed to be like it's a good server, or this data is not like sent in a malicious way, right? So the proxy makes sure that happens, right? So it controls this inbound traffic, and then yeah, so this traffic that's coming from your client side, it controls it. Now this is a forward proxy, right? Like forwarding the request. Now there's also server reverse proxy. Now, contrary to what most people think, it's actually not like a server to client type of thing. It's actually from the server. So let's say, for example, on the server, right? Let's say this is the proxy, right? So let's say reverse proxy. This reverse proxy is between the server. Okay, so let's say server. So between the server, it's actually over here, right? And let's say, for example, what was the other one? The firewall, right? The fundamental difference between this and the proxy is that proxy makes sure like the data you're sending is not messed up, right? And I mean, it's not sent to a bad spot and things like that. A firewall, on the other hand, what it does it acts as a sort of, if you guys have heard of this thing called an NACL, it's called a network access control list, okay? It's a stateless, which means it doesn't remember, it needs to check every single time whether you're on that list or not, okay? So it's stateless. So this is if you have a private network, but a firewall, what it does is the inbound and the outbound traffic, this firewall is the one that protects you from any like inbound or outbound traffic that's like malicious, right? So it sits in the middle with predefined rules. For example, a network access control list is a predefined rule in a firewall to access only allow these IP addresses to access it. And the meaning of stateless means it forgets once it's done, and every time it needs to keep rechecking, right? If it was stateful, it will remember who you are. Like let's say this IP logged in, right? So but in this case it's stateless. So stateless means it will have to manually check, okay? And then access control lists are stateless in general. So this applies for AWS as well. So the next concept I'm going to tell you guys is so CSRF and SSRF, okay? So let me explain. So CSRF is basically, let's say you send a link. So let's say a client, right? This is let's say this is X, okay? Now and Y is a hacker, okay? Y is a hacker. Now X is actually logged into his bank, okay? Bank on his digital bank, right? So Y, right? Y sends X a link, right? But then pretty much like X is logged in, right? So M2FA and everything is done, right? So then once X clicks on, so this is X, by the way, this is Y. So once X clicks on the link that the Y sends, then because the X is logged into his account, Y can access his account through that. Do you understand? Through this link, right? Through this link that Y sent to X, if that makes sense. This is called cross-site request forgery. Sorry, client-side request forgery. And then we also have this thing called server-side request forgery, where you send a request to servers, okay? The same thing, but you act to be someone else. For example, let's say you steal someone else's cookies, okay? So once again, this is person, let's say this is person X, and this is person X, and this is person Y, okay? So this is a server, okay? So the same thing, you pretty much get this guy's cookies, okay? Somehow you manage to get this guy's token, okay? Cookies means like JSON web token, for example. That's a encrypted token that's used to access other people's accounts, right? So it's like an encrypted token. Once you log in, you will get a JSON web token, and then once you that's the one that's going to keep track of your session, right? Session is nothing but like let's say a certain period of time where you are having a window open, which it eventually expires because it needs to revalidate that you're the actual person, right? So if someone else gets access to this JSON web token or tokens in general, what they can do is they can make that, like let's say this is access token, by the way. That's why I pointed here. Now if Y gets access to this JSON web token, now Y can make requests on behalf of X. Do you understand? So then Y can get X's information. Do you understand? So this is a web token. This is a personal token. Okay, it's like a personal wristband, right? But if Y gets access to it, Y can get through it. It's like a key card. That's the best example, right? Let's say a company employee X gets a key card, and Y is not a company employee, but Y gets a hand of X's key card. So now Y can log in. Y can just walk into the company, right? Just assume, right? Okay. So data at rest. Okay, so data at rest, simple. Okay, data at rest means it's resting. Resting means resting in a database, as in not moving, right? Resting means you don't move, right? Resting database, or it could be on a physical hard drive, right? Let's say like a physical hard drive. You get the point. So the in transit means it's moving. Okay, in transit means it's moving. So that means data is going back and forth, whether it's hard drive, making read and write operations, or database making HTTP methods, REST API calls and things like that, right? So request response. So pretty much the data is on the move. Okay, so the way this data moves is the way I want to show you guys, which is OSI model. Okay, that's the please do not throw sausage pizza away. So that's the 7 layers. So 7 layers of the OSI model. So like it's of course presentation, transportation, not this network, throw, which is please do not throw, which is I think please do. So that's physical, and then devices, and then physical devices, network, transportation, and not throw, sausage, which is session, pizza, which is presentation, and then away, which is application. I think that's the order. Anyways, those are 7 layers. So that's how the data is transferred, right? So it goes through those 7 layers. I've made a video. I'll just do this as a recall, but the router and the differences between the router, the switch, the hub, and then the firewall. I've explained what the firewall is right now, and also the wireless access point. Okay, so let me explain this again. Okay, router connects your devices to the local area network to the internet. Okay, so internet, so it's a www. Okay, so as in your normal device, so it connects your devices to the internet, and then the switch, right? Switch routes, switch connects your devices to the network, right? Switch connects your devices to the network, and then the router routes your routes your local area network all the way to the internet, World Wide Web. Here I have a little small confusion here. I will update a comment because as you know I'm fumbling right now, but the hub, right? The hub is a dumb switch. Okay, hub is a dumb switch which basically shares like all the information. Okay, it will continue to like just ramble like everything, all the information about all the information in the router and the whole thing. It will share those information, the hub. Okay, and then we have the firewall again, inbound and outbound. Okay, it's like a middle wall which protects your internal protects another resource, right? So whether like it's in inbound, which is in traffic incoming, outbound, which is traffic outgoing. Wireless access point, it's for wireless networks. So wireless networks are like available because they are like wireless access points. Otherwise you will have to use an Ethernet cable to connect to your modem, right? So these are called wireless access points. Okay, so and what else? So KMS and secrets manager. Okay, KMS is only for keys. Okay, so this is for only encrypting keys. Okay, secrets manager is like the father of KMS. Okay, secrets manager is like the father of KMS. Secret manager can manage any type of secrets, whether it's keys, any type of other data that needs to be encrypted, maybe email addresses, things like that, right? It would encrypt that, right? It would keep it secure, the secrets manager. But the secrets manager, behind the scenes, it uses KMS, key management service, if you have to encrypt keys. Okay, so that's why I said like KMS is part of secrets manager, right? So logging and monitoring. So SIEM stands for, now if you've heard of this thing called Splunk, it's actually it's a type of SIEM. Okay, so it's a example of SIEM. So SIEM stands for Security Information and Event Management. Okay, so in other words, being able to analyze logs and understand what sort of network traffic activity is happening, right? So that's what blue teaming cybersecurity specialists do, right? So yeah, that's that. IAM Razor division, right? So there's groups, right? Groups are of course shared permissions in IAMs. I'm talking about identity and access management. So groups are of course shared permissions, and then we have policies, which is policies. It's a permission document, as you can see, right? It's attached to groups, user groups or roles, right? It grants or denies access to resources, right? So then role, which is a temporary identity with policies, right? So it's for AWS services or users from the other accounts, and it lets a user, like sort of a service or user, assume permissions temporarily, right? So it's a temporary way of a role is a temporary identity, right? A role is just a temporary, so you're just playing a role, okay? Playing a role, okay? You're just playing a role in a drama. Think of it like that. Your temporary role, right? You're just in that role for just for that time period, right? So you're playing a role, and then we have the group, which is the shared permissions. So multiple different people will have shared permissions, and then we have the policies. Policies are like it's a JSON document, right? It's a JSON document which defines what sort of access the external world should have, right? For example, as you can see, grants or denies access to resources, exactly, right? So it's attached to users, groups, or roles, right? So this is very important. So yeah, I just want to make this short video about that, and the OWASP top 10, right? So the broken access control, as you can see, cryptographic failures, formally sensitive data exposure, SQL injections, as you can see, command injection and stuff. Insecurity sign is for web applications which are made in an insecure manner, architecture-wise. Security misconfiguration, so default settings, open ports, verbose error message. Verbose means like too many error messages, so it makes it obvious how the TCP is flowing. For example, like this IP to let's say this IP to that IP, it's a constant communication, so over TCP. So if it's logging this over and over and over again, hackers can sort of mass analyze. I don't know if you guys have heard of this thing called ELK stack, which is Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. So you can like mass search and visualize. So Logstash is the one that logs, like stashes all the logs, as in like combines all the logs together. And then Elasticsearch is the one where you can search through these logs that you combine together. And the Kibana is the one that you can use to visualize. So like in this case, for example, TCP is the normal transmission control protocol, right? So like pretty much that's the normal communication. So if you have too many repetitive TCP logs, then you can understand that there's a pattern there, right? This one to this one, like that, right? So yeah, things like that. Unused features left active, exactly. So unpatched libraries, outdated software. These are unpatched stuff with vulnerabilities which have not been subject to being patched in terms of cyber vulnerabilities, right? So weak login mechanisms, as you can see, brute force. It's just trying a bunch of usernames and passwords until one of these combos work together. So trusting unsigned updates or insecure CI/CD pipelines, exactly. Lack of alerts or logs, making breaches hard to detect, right? Oh yeah, did I explain CloudTrail and CloudWatch? Okay, so if in case I didn't, so CloudTrail, okay, I think I did. No, didn't I? I think I did. But CloudTrail and CloudFront, okay, let me explain that real quick. So CloudTrail only logs the API activity, okay? So let's say API activity, so that's the request response cycles. It will log API activity, okay, as trails, okay? So this is for security and auditing purposes. Auditing means you go into the logs and you understand when some sort of crime or some sort of serious problem happens, okay? So you can like see what happened and what caused it, right? So yeah, this is a CloudTrail, and CloudWatch, okay, watches over all your resources. Okay, watches over your resources and the health of your application. Watches over resources and health. Okay, so that's CloudWatch. So that's the difference between CloudWatch and CloudTrail. Okay, this is the API activity. Okay, request response cycles. Okay, I think we're clear there, right? Auditing means you go into the security logs, as in the logs, and you analyze what security problem when a security problem happens. That's like same thing as like financial auditing, right? You analyze the transactions and you see when fraud or something happened, right? So yeah, that's that's pretty much. I think we should be fine for now. Oh yeah, CloudTrail, CloudWatch. Again, I have explained this. Yeah, that should be it for this video, guys. It was a short video. I will let you guys know if there's any other information that you need to know. For now, you can, in case you didn't watch the previous video, I would highly recommend watching that one. I went over a pretty good amount of stuff there. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Oh, and in case I didn't mention, network security groups are basically like firewalls, right? That filter traffic at layers 3 and 4 of the OSI model, right? So please do not, which is network, and T, which is transport. Okay, please do not throw, which is network and transportation, right? So the network and between network and transportation, the network security group is like a basic firewall, like that filters the traffic, right? So segmentation is like dividing, so subnets, in other words, so dividing a network into different segments. Segments means little pieces, right? So segments. So then that's also called dividing them to subnets, right? Smaller computer network into smaller isolated segments, right? Yeah, so apart from that, VPC, right? VPC means virtual private cloud. Okay, it's a cloud term. Okay, VPC means virtual private cloud. So this is where you have the subnets, right? Remember when I said subnets, private subnets, public subnets? So that means public can access it. Private subnet. Well, let's recall this for a second. That needs in the public subnets you use an internet gateway, and the private subnet needs a NAT gateway to communicate with it, right? So in the public gateway, you need a NAT gateway in order to facilitate communications for this private gateway. Okay, in other words, can't access internet by itself. You need to go through a NAT gateway through the public gateway, and then access the internet outside internet, come back, right? So security groups apply for EC2 servers. Remember when I said that? EC2 servers, because you have to take care of servers, as in manage, configure servers. So EC2 servers of what? Auto scaling groups. Auto scales up or down based on the traffic, right? So minimum number of instances, minimum capacity, maximum capacity, and desired capacity. And then we have the final one, which is the security groups, right? Security groups, what they do is they control the inbound and the outbound traffic, right? So they control inbound and outbound traffic. So that's in other words, it acts like a firewall. It's like a virtual firewall, right? So again, same thing as a firewall. It's a virtual firewall. It has predefined instructions like access control lists, right? I told you guys about this. Stateless. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got. VPN, again, it's a virtual private network. All it does is it creates an encrypted tunnel from you to a virtual server somewhere in a virtual location. So it's an encrypted tunnel in between, and then the packets are sent across through an encrypted tunnel, and then it's connected from that spot to wherever you are trying to access. So that's why it looks like you're connecting from the virtual location, because it's an encrypted tunnel between you and the virtual private network servers, right? So from there you are accessing instead of from here, right? So yeah, that's it, I think, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you around, right? Web application firewall, same thing. I've explained what this is. Edge protection means keeping the data as close as possible, okay, to you, so that way you have like more control over it. And just to memorize, direct connect means directly connect. So it creates a private connection between you, like your on-premises, right, on-premises, and the cloud. Okay, that's all, without needing a public internet gateway. So you don't need a public doesn't need to see that transaction, right? It's very good. Private direct connect to the cloud. So that's for on-premises to cloud type of migration. So yeah, that's all for this video, guys, and I'll see you guys all in my next one. Bye bye.